Hey guys, it is Abdul coming to you. It is Abdul Live, Abdul Online here at 93 WIBC. Lots of stuff to get to today. Mostly city stuff, believe it or not. Like I said, this is going to sound a little weird and awkward because I know even though we had a lot of focus on Florida with the school shootings and Sunday alcohol sales, there's still plenty of things going on here locally that you need to pay attention to. You might say one of the big news items is, of course, the mayor's news conference today, better late than never, on the issue of potholes. The mayor asking the council for an additional $14 million to fix the potholes, which, by the way, if you ever had to drive around Indianapolis these days, I'm going to kind of carbon date myself here. It reminds me of that old video arcade game called like Moon Buggy, where you're literally on the moon trying to jump over potholes, and the only thing you're not getting hit is with space aliens with giant lasers. But of course, though the way the roads have been, this city looks more like little Mogadishu than it does Indianapolis. So the $14 million the mayor's folks are going to spend. But here's the interesting thing. The city already got a ton of money, believe it or not. Just messing with my shoe here. Sorry about that. The city already got a ton of money from the legislature for roads and infrastructure. So there's really no reason for the city to dip into its savings account to do these road repairs when the state has given already the city like almost $78 million, I think it was, for roads and infrastructure. So I'm going to have some conversations with some city council people probably early next week just to figure out why is it that they think they have to go into the city's savings account and go find all this cash to deal with this, supposed to the state just gave them the money automatically to do this. So that's one of the big things on the equation. The other big news item of this week, speaking of money, has been the IPS referendum. That's right. It was nearly $1 billion over like a 9-10-year window. That's now been scaled back to about a total of $700 million. IPS say they heard that the people were not happy about it, particularly so they decided to scale back part of the referendum, not the capital part, which is buildings and infrastructure, but more on some of the operational maintenance. As Dr. Farabee put it, instead of installing new windows, we had to just deal with new broken windows. So it's kind of in that sort of category. But the fact they did scale it back, they hope they think it'll make it a little bit more palatable. And I tend to agree because a lot of people I spoke to were having a hard time trying to figure out, that $1 billion figure. They just couldn't get their arms around it. Now, MIBOR, that's the Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors, they are still opposed to this. And so that may cause some issues for IPS as they try to push forward that referendum. It's also really going to count with MIBOR coming out against it and the resources that MIBOR has. Like I said, because I've known those guys for years, for IPS to really step up its referendum game and convince the voters that this is the right thing to do. So keep an eye out on that one. And while we're at it, we go back to, once again, to City Hall, if we could, for the earliest news item of the week was, of course, the resignation of Stephen Clay as council president. It was about 15 minutes before the meeting this week. Mr. Clay announces that he was going to step down as president. And a lot of people wonder why he went ahead and did it, because he had nowhere else to go. After everything that he did, between the firing of the clerks and the reassignments of committees and the accusations of theft and chicanery going on, he basically had no choice. See, but here's the funny thing that very few people know. Clay, up until the weekend, over that weekend, he had people, actually some of his pastor friends, making phone calls to counselors and sending text messages saying, hey, you got to vote for Clay, you got to vote for Clay. And then not only does the SOB resign on Monday night, but he didn't even tell the pastor people that he had making the phone calls that he was doing it. So apparently, when he announced his resignation at the council meeting, their jaws all just dropped to the floor because they could not believe that they had just been screwed. I'll let you draw your own conclusions on that one, ladies and gentlemen. But let's put it this way. When those guys walked out, they looked like the closing scene in the Black Panther film, like the Wakanda tribe, the tribe that fought the Wakandans and lost. Spoiler alert. So there you go. Yeah, but that is what's been going on, ladies and gentlemen, as of late. I'm going to cut this actually a little short because City Council has their council on committee hearings at about 3:30. So I got to walk over to the City County building in about 5 minutes here and go see how they go back and restore order and put everything back the way it has been. But if you got a question or comment or a thought, be sure to message me via Facebook or leave a message here at 93 WIBC. And don't forget to listen in on Saturday, tomorrow, from 1 to 3 for Abdul at Large Weekend Edition here on 93 WIBC. Thank you all very much. You guys have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye.